from his album E-Pop and the tune entitled New Wheels. Well, once again, I don't know where the time goes, but I sure have a good time driving the jazz track. Hope you enjoyed the show as I always do, and I'd love to hear from you. So feel free to email me at mungobop@hotmail.com and let me know what you think and what you might want to hear. Tell your friends, tell your family we got jazz happening. Be sure to stay tuned at noon for 2 hours with Dizzy Don's classic Country Cafe, and then the Rock and Rev comes on for 4 hours with your favorite rock and roll right here at 93.7 FM Reno, streaming worldwide at americamatters.us. Until next Saturday at 10 a.m., this is your host, Doug Hornstein, on the Jazz Track. Be safe, take care of yourselves and each other, and spread the love. Have a great day.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
1 in 3 adults in America have prediabetes, but most don't know it. To let people know it can be reversed before it becomes type 2 diabetes, professional basketball player Julius Randle is doing everything in reverse.
I'm only dunking with reverse windmills. I drove the whole way to practice in reverse. I don't recommend it. This move's called the reverse shuffle. I do recommend it. And it took me months to learn how to speak in reverse, like this. Years 10 almost for diabetes type 2 with living Ben has mama. In other words, my mom has been living with type 2 diabetes for almost 10 years. So together, we want to say to the 84 million Americans at risk, exercise and healthy eating can help reverse prediabetes. Start by taking a simple 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Bet he can't say that in reverse.
This is America Matters Media at 93.7 FM, KPGF Sun Valley, your community radio station.
USA News, I'm Richard Johnson. Not since World War II, when Winston Churchill appeared, has a European leader come to Washington while his country is at war. But Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky is there for what promises to be a dramatic day.
This is Zelensky's first known trip outside Ukraine since the war began in February.
Testing 3, 2, 1. Perfect, thank you. Testing 1,
the 800-mile front line to leave his country. The U.S. is set to announce the largest single delivery of arms to Ukraine, including Patriot surface-to-air missiles. The latest infusion of U.S. money would be the biggest yet and exceed Biden's $37 billion request. From Washington, I'm Victoria Idoni.
The Senate could vote on that full-year spending bill tonight. Democratic leader Chuck Schumer says both parties are eager to finish work on the measure ahead of both Friday's funding deadline and ahead of that huge winter storm heading east. Speaking of which, the forecast high in Denver today is about 50 degrees. The forecast high tomorrow, about 5 degrees below zero. This thanks to that massive winter storm moving across the USA. And it's not just the heartland that's in for the deep freeze, according to National Weather Service lead forecaster Bob Oravec.
The cold air is going to be moving rapidly southward over the next 24 to 48 hours. So it will clear through all of Texas by late in the day on Thursday, and then actually all through Florida by Friday.
Texas power grid officials say they are prepared for the big freeze. Hard freeze warnings are up across the south. Right now, much of Minnesota is under a blizzard warning for what the Weather Service calls impossible and life-threatening travel tomorrow through Friday. And flying is getting tougher as the day progresses. More than 300 cancellations so far. The biggest delays today, according to FlightAware, Seattle, Denver, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Dallas. This is USA News.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
As the White House tries to win court permission to end Title 42, the criticism from some governors keeps coming. Texas Republican Greg Abbott says in the short run, doesn't matter.
We're having to manage the crisis on the border, regardless of what's happening, because even before the potential lifting of Title 42, we've seen this massive influx.
Tens of thousands are on the Mexican side of the southern border. The Trump-era Title 42 rule mandates that asylum seekers wait in Mexico while their applications are processed. The original reasoning was concern over COVID. This week, the Supreme Court blocked the White House from ending that policy. Yesterday's big earthquake on the coast of Northern California has turned tragic.
The 6.4 magnitude earthquake on the coast of Northern California has taken the lives of 2 people and injured 11 in Humboldt County. Both deaths resulted from medical emergencies during or following the earthquake that rattled the area at 2:30 a.m. Pacific early Tuesday morning. The epicenter was roughly 260 miles north of San Francisco, California. I'm Lance Pry.
And up Highway 101, the central Oregon coast was rattled by a much smaller quake yesterday, this one with a magnitude of just 4.6. It's a sellout in Boston. The National Hockey League's annual outdoor game, the Winter Classic, is January 2nd at Fenway Park. The Bruins will host the Pittsburgh Penguins, but the accompanying Fan Fest will still allow fans to celebrate the second time the Winter Classic has come to Fenway. Rich Johnson, USA News.
My heart was racing just making spaghetti. I could have waited to tell my doctor, but I didn't wait.
I was short of breath just reading a book. I could have delayed telling my doctor, but I didn't wait.
They told their doctors and found out they have atrial fibrillation, a condition which makes it about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you have one or more of these symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, this is no time to wait. Contact your doctor.
Brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
The following is an America Matters Media production. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the station or its advertisers, although we think they should. But that's the opinion of America Matters Media.
This is not America. Sha-la-la-la-la. Little piece of you.
Welcome to Talking Truth to Power, Nevada and the world's Freedom Talk Radio.
I'm your host, Brendan Trainor. I'm here with Leland Faegre.
Welcome.
Welcome. And also we have Brian working on
Brian's
the board.
on the board.
Yep. It's a Christmas show.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Yeah. And so,
the Saturnalia.
Merry Christmas. I don't want to get into that. Do you?
You don't?
No.
Oh, I love this time of the year. I just celebrate it in a different context than most people do.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Hanukkah is coming up too.
Well, we're in the middle of it now.
Yep.
Yeah. Like you didn't know.
But what's been the main thing in the news? I would say it's the Twitter scandals, wouldn't you?
It is, clearly.
Yes.
It's a scandal of a century.
Yes.
Because it reveals the deep state's intention.
Exactly.
They seek to control us.
Control us, manipulate us. It's a little bit of an introduction to the media, the mainstream media that we've all been complaining about.
And everybody can see it for themselves.
Yes.
Maybe not on MSNBC, but it's clearly there.
Right.
There's no excuse not to know about it anymore. And that would explain, at least in part, some of the previous election cycles what we're seeing. Because effectively what we were accusing the Russians of doing was actually being done by the FBI.
Imagine that.
Imagine that, isn't it? Well, if you're listening to our show, you know that we've been talking about that. But
you know what Pogo said, we have met the enemy and he's
it's
us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're changing people's lives.
That's the intent, all right. Did you see where even Stanford University
was about?
It has now an Orwellian list of terms that they don't want used. And this was the last of the best, I guess. Wouldn't that be how you describe Stanford?
Stanford is where the Hoover Institute is, generally considered a fairly conservative school.
Absolutely, not just conservative,
especially for California,
but very enlightening. I mean, they go to conspiratorial depth on subject matter, so that's why they were valuable.
So they're pronoun happy now.
I loved Carrie Lake's response to the suit that she has now won in the state of Arizona. That her pronouns are, what did she use? What were the terms that she used? I didn't write them down, damn it.
No.
But funny, this pronoun stuff has got to go.
Exactly.
But will it?
Well,
will it go?
If Jordan Peterson has his way,
I know, and if we have our way. But.
Yeah, if we have our way. But there's there just seems to be no end of it. What are those shows that I watch that most people don't on YouTube? Trigonometry, have we mentioned them before?
Right. Uh-huh.
He had a guest on, and he said, 400 people were arrested for social media transgressions in Russia. And he goes, oh, yeah? Well, that's nobody doubts that.
Yeah.
They said in the same time period, 4,000 people were arrested in the West.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So they're coming after us. It's very obvious. Apart from the obvious ones, Trump and now Musk, the Trumpification of Elon Musk.
Yep.
That's basically what they're doing to him now. And did you see where he had sat down with Jared Kushner at the FIFA World Cup? Did you see that?
Elon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right next to each
Get
other.
him out of here.
Yeah. They're talking.
Yeah.
Good sign.
Yeah.
Really good sign.
But of course, he still stands. The FIFA thing was pretty based because they wouldn't let the proselytizers for the pride, but they wouldn't let the athletes wear pride symbols.
Yeah,
they said this is for fun.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
nope.
This is for fun.
Yeah,
it's not for stuff like that. And then Zelensky wanted to have his picture on all the big major screens.
Right. Yeah.
They said, no way, this is for fun, not for
snubbed.
you.
Zelensky was snubbed. But you see, that was part of his peremptory arrangement to come here because he obviously knew he was coming here.
Do we have any news of his visit yet?
Not yet, but he'll be here today, and I guess he addresses a joint Chamber of Commerce.
Do you think he'll ask for more money?
I don't think he has to.
Well, I know they're giving him.
Be afforded anything he asks.
This new omnibus spending bill has $40 billion.
It's hideous.
It's absolutely hideous.
And they could have done a stopgap.
Yes, that's what they need to do.
They
just a bridge.
They didn't need to do that
until the new Congress gets
They're
in.
acting like they didn't win the House.
Exactly.
Enough is enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer.
But it's hard to appreciate what effectively we all saw in this vote. That's this Senate vote. 25 of the Senate, 25 members of the Senate. So that's a quarter of the House is all we have. We don't have 50 Republican senators in there.
That voted against.
We have 25 Republicans.
Yes, exactly. That's the hardcore.
Yeah.
You know, people like Matt Gaetz and Rand Paul.
Yeah.
Marjorie Taylor.
The others are Democrats in Republican clothing. And so it's very obvious on something like this. They didn't need to do this.
No. They didn't need it at all.
So
they could shut the government down and we would get along. You know, every time they shut the government down, we find out how little we need it.
Yeah, that is true.
That's the problem.
That's why they don't want to shut it down.
Well, we found out the FBI has a real thing for Stephen Baldwin.
Yeah.
They keep trying to get him censored.
Well, they had 80 of those goons over there, didn't they?
Yes. Are they? Some of them are still working over there.
Apparently, some are still there. And Trump has suggested that there be a 7-year phase out of their relationship with the FBI before they can go into the private sector, at least in these sensitive positions.
Well, Elon is calling for a church commission on the FBI.
Yeah.
You know, the original church commission, he was senator from Idaho, I believe, in the 70s.
Yep.
He found that they were totally infiltrating the media, and it's just got worse.
Like Operation Mockingbird?
Yes, exactly.
Sliced fresh sandwiches every day, made right before your eyes. The port of Subway could be a smoking number 5 or a classic number 8, or maybe an Italian is your number 1 fave. Whatever you crave, prepare to fall in love. Sliced fresh sandwiches, Port of Subs.
Port of Sub's Rosemary Swiss Bread is back. Nothing smells better than fresh-baked warm bread with a hint of savory rosemary and topped with creamy Swiss cheese. The only thing better than the smell is the taste. Try it with your favorite classic sub or with any of our signature hot subs. It's good. Rosemary Swiss Bread is here for a limited time, so visit your neighborhood Port of Subs today or order ahead at portofsubs.com for pickup or delivery. Port of Subs, slicing fresh for 50 years.
Whatever yummy number you're dreaming of, sliced fresh sandwiches, Port of Subs.
At Northern Nevada Family Dental, we are proud to announce a wide range of advanced dental services by way of the Photona Lightwalker laser. The Lightwalker laser can efficiently and effectively treat most periodontal problems, from deep persistent pocketing to peri-implantitis and a multitude of conditions in between. Have cold sores? We can inhibit the cycle of the virus and sometimes even prevent them from occurring. Do you have a snoring or CPAP problem? Through the amazing healing power of light, we can treat tissues inside the mouth without anesthesia, appliances, or cutting, so that after just one treatment, most people sleep better and quieter that same night. By using the power of the laser intraorally, we can also smooth facial wrinkles and tighten sagging necklines, all without you having to be numb, and there's no downtime. It can even be done on a lunch break. Through the FDA-approved Power of Light, these treatments and many more are now available at Northern Nevada Family Dental in Sparks. Have I piqued your interest? Give us a call at 626-7772 or visit us at northernnevadafamilydental.com.
You hear it all the time. Buy local, think local, eat local, choose local, grow local. But who the heck really is local? You can shop with locals at the Nevada Marketplace in the Reno Town Mall and search for locals at buynevadafirst.com. We're all local all the time.
Hey, all you entrepreneurs out there. Whether you have a small business or work from home, LaRue Press offers a virtual office and business address for all your business needs. Located at 280 Gregg Street, Suite 10, LaRue Press is your personal assistant for friendly all-day service. Need a conference room to meet with clients? You got it. With LaRue Press, you also get phone answering service, mail forwarding, package pickup, and even help branding your business. Call LaRue Press at 849-3814 or go online to lrpnv.com.
Text and whatever. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Want to expand your advertising dollar? Sponsor this or any America Matters program by calling 775-827-8900, extension 2. Now, back to the show.
Well, welcome back to Talking Truth to Power. And you know,
By the way, before you move on, I found what Kerry Lakes had said, that we believe we can prove that they had to sabotage the election.
Okay.
We believe we can prove that, among other things. That's what she said. So, more power to her, boy. That's really an important story.
Yeah. Well, in other news, Oath Keepers leader Stuart Rhodes was convicted of seditious conspiracy, essentially for mean things he said on social media about the government.
They're always accusing people of doing what they're doing themselves.
Exactly. Seditious conspiracy is a modern-day version of the Alien and Sedition Acts passed by President John Adams right after the Bill of Rights was passed and revoked by President Jefferson. They have no place in a free society.
Yeah, no, they
exactly.
don't. No,
that's my little statement of the day.
No, yeah, it's a good one. I'm with you.
So then they were going after a representative in the Alaska legislature, David Eastman, Republican for Wasilla. He's on trial to determine whether he should be removed from office under the Alaska Constitution because he is a life member of Oath Keepers. He won election on November 8th by a 24-point margin.
Now, a life member, is that a dues-paying membership? Is that kind of how it works?
I don't have that detail.
Probably is.
Yeah, probably is. But during his trial, former FBI agent John Guandolo testified that the Oath Keepers are not seditious at all. They're only acting to preserve the Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
That's it.
While a few members may have broken laws on January 6th, it's not the same as the entire organization wants to overthrow the U.S. government.
And what are we talking about? Trespassing?
Yeah, exactly. Trespassing. In a few cases, striking a policeman, but or breaking a window or something like that, or moving the Speaker of the House's podium 20 feet.
See, I don't think the Oath Keepers were part of that. There were others there.
Yeah.
Hell, we know that they had plenty of time to plan that because they knew it was coming in a couple of weeks.
Well, it wasn't their intent to be there.
Right.
That's what he says.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't Trump's intent that they did
right.
that either.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
We choose truth over facts.
The only ones that should have been there were the National Guard, and they weren't there.
Yeah. So do you think Attorney General Merrick Garfinkel will act on the criminal referrals?
I think so.
Yes?
Yeah, I think so. What have they got to lose?
Yeah.
Whatever they do egregiously fails to affect them on Election Day. So why wouldn't they continue what they've been doing? I don't see how they can contain themselves.
Right. I mean, half the country essentially backs them and the other half hates them for it, but that's another thing.
Well, that's the basis of the Civil War that's still it's distilling. We're still seeing it develop.
Well, in other news, we continue to have bad news about the vaccine. More data just arrived today that says the vaccine does not stop the spread of whatever this COVID-19 is.
Did we
somewhere past the pandemic?
Did we need more proof of that? I'm just wondering because heaven knows we've known this for so long.
So now we're seeing stories of parents that have 6 children and they want them to have unvaccinated blood.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Dr. Panda sent in this story to one of the naturopath magazines. He said, newborn baby Alex was born with a 95% survivable congenital heart defect and needed surgery. and he needed a blood transfusion. And he died shortly after receiving a vaccinated blood transfusion. But the parents had arranged a directed donation of unvaccinated blood, but the hospital at the last minute claimed they were unable to locate the unvaccinated blood and instead gave the baby the vaccinated
blood.
Blood from their own stockpile.
I'm sure that's just coincidence.
Yeah, just coincidence.
You know what Fauci said, don't you?
Well, what was the latest
Among other
pronouncement
things,
of the science?
It's nice that some people idolize me and put me on a pedestal.
He's a dedicated public servant.
I'd like to find anyone that would do that.
All right. So there are, this is becoming a controversy, and people are starting to press more and more for unvaccinated blood because they believe that the mRNA spike that is in the mRNA vaccines will, in fact, lower their immune responses.
Get them out of here!
Yeah. And that would be my concern, too, if I had to take blood from somebody.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I deliberately avoided the vaccine. I did take the Johnson & Johnson, but that's not mRNA.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the general. So people are very concerned about that. Switch naturopath George Della Pietra has started safe blood donation service to provide clean, unvaccinated blood. Calling the Wuhan coronavirus mass injection campaign the crime of the century, Pietra believes that messenger RNA COVID shots contaminate the blood and destroy the immune system.
I thought the hegemonic response of the FBI over Twitter was the crime of the century. Apparently, we've got a whole bunch of crimes of the century out there.
Crime-ridden century.
And here's what another thing.
It's only starting.
Carrie Lake said about the trial, which begins today.
What?
She says, "We're taking these bastards to trial." Gotta like Carrie Lake.
She's got an uphill fight. If she doesn't win, I think we'll see Senator Blake soon. Senator Lake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So more and more young people are dropping dead, but it's got to be the global warming. I mean, I can't see any other reason.
Well, that's responsible in many respects for the pressure on the border too. They're coming up here because they're
fleeing climate change.
Yeah, that's what Biden's going to go to Mexico and talk about climate change. You hear about that?
Wow.
Yeah, because that's really important.
That's also the hoax of the century.
Yeah, that's a crime of the century if I ever saw one.
Oh, man, you could be a climate denier, a COVID denier, a Holocaust denier. You just got to keep denying.
Yeah, deny.
It is in the global interest to protect the rules-based international order.
Yes, and that includes control by the WHO of medicine.
Who?
WHO, the World Health Organization.
If there was ever a globalist trend, that's it right there.
Yep. So what is the woke war in Europe doing? There's
a woke war going on in Europe?
Yeah. It's the war to conquer the last remaining unwoke center of power in Europe. Hungary, and to a lesser degree in Russia. We had that scandal at the EU where that hot 30-something vice president of the European Parliament, Eva.
Is she 30-something?
Yeah.
Okay.
You ever see her picture?
Yeah.
Yeah. She might be in her early 40s, but that would be a stretch. She has been stripped of her responsibilities by the EU Parliament, had her assets frozen, and has been charged after police alleged to have found bags of cash at her residence. Now, Qatar, though, doesn't like this. They want to be able to bribe the EU. They're threatening to halt shipments of badly needed liquid natural gas if the probe continues.
Oh, hell no.
Oh, hell yes.
Yes. And Europe is freaking out already. Now, the story is that Germany and Poland, of all people, have been trying to ask Gazprom to send them gas through the one remaining pipeline and guarantee the flow through the winter.
Well, I heard that Ukraine had a hand in destroying one of those pipelines that were delivering supply into Europe, Central Europe.
Yes, they did. Yeah, they did.
Whoops. And it's not even winter yet. We're still a couple hours away from winter.
Exactly, from real winter. You know, it's freedom gas. That's what,
is that what it is?
Rich Perry calls it, freedom gas.
It's the Russian playbook. This is right out of the Russian playbook.
It is right out of the Russian playbook.
And freedom gas costs, 4 or 5 times more in Europe than it does in the U.S., but we'll happily send it to them because we want to help our allies.
Yep.
Yeah, so the freedom gas from Qatar won't be coming, though, if they continue to investigate how Qatar is bribing the European politicians. Meanwhile, Russia, the Europeans, they accuse the United States of profiting off the situation with Ukraine, and then they said they're going to petition the United States to redress their grievances. And Putin, there's a video out of Putin just laughing at him and said, so they're going to petition their overlord for help? Good luck with that.
I think he's laughing all the time. To me, we just look absolutely ridiculous in his eyes. And I know we look ridiculous in my eyes, in our eyes here. But it just you just can't make up some of the stuff we're watching on the world stage. It's
exactly.
amazing. You know what Elon Musk is saying? He'll resign as Twitter CEO as soon as he finds someone foolish enough to accept the position.
In Northern Nevada, there's a one-of-a-kind home that provides temporary overnight lodging when veterans or family members are receiving medical care in the Reno area, some from hundreds of miles away. Too often, overnight accommodations are a financial and logistical challenge. Stephanie Tanksley and her husband are veterans who come for treatment from Bishop, California.
We were lucky enough to be connected to the guest house so that I could stay for 10 nights when my husband was in the hospital. So I was able to visit him every day. It was just a blessing.
Veterans Guest House is privately supported by individual and community donations from people like you who recognize our responsibility to support our heroes. And no government money is received for day-to-day operation of the house.
Please support this organization. The Veterans Guest House is an amazing resource for veterans. Supporting this organization is one of the best ways that you can donate your time and your money just to help our veterans and their families.
Find out how you can help at veteransguesthouse.org.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. I'm here to warn you about telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Some of these scammers may say threatening things like you will be arrested if you don't make payments or provide personal information. Do not fall for these tricks. These calls are not from us. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you for information or money. If you receive a call like this, hang up.
Page 5.
Never give the caller your personal information, like your Social Security number or bank account, or send money in any form, cash, gift cards, wire transfers, or prepaid debit cards. Report the call to our law enforcement arm, the Office of the Inspector General at oig.ssa.gov. Share this information with your friends and family.
Want to expand your advertising dollar? Sponsor this or any America Matters program by calling 775-827-8900, extension 2. Now, back to the show.
Well, welcome back to Talking Truth to Power. You remember Joan Rivers?
Sure.
The Jewish comedian? Mm-hmm. Well, she was on Howard Stern's show, and she said...
Not lately.
Not lately. She's deceased now. But, she says it like it is to her anyway. And she said, "Oh, hell, I'll say it. I don't care. Yes, we, I mean Jews, have taken over everything important. So what? They either did nothing to stop us or we beat them. Either way, you lost. Yep. It's ours now, crybabies."
They vaguely remember that.
Every day, continue to bear witness. To keep alive the truth and honor of the Holocaust.
And, of course, Howard Stern also happens to be Jewish.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Alex Jones, who's a well-known populist, and Nick Fuentes, who is called a Holocaust denier and a white nationalist and all that, they debated after Jones' interview with Ian Fuentes. The two met again, and Jones took the line that Hitler was totally evil. He invoked Martin Luther King during the debate. Fuentes didn't do that so much, but
Kanye decided that he was going to go full anti-Semitic.
Full
anti-Semitic. Kanye was saying an anti-Semitic thing, saying crazy anti-Semitic things, which is anti-Semitism.
So what is it about Hitler in 2022, 80 years after World War II? Hitler is definitely a warmonger responsible for the bloodiest war in human history.
Yeah, but he had a lot of corporate help.
Yes,
he couldn't have waged war without Ford Motor Company,
no.
General Motors, General Electric. Need I continue this list?
Yeah. Hitler has become the equivalent of Satan. He's become bigger than history and morality. He's become a trope. How many times has the word Hitler been invoked to justify all the wars and atrocities fought in the name of democracy or the war on terror, which are really neo-imperialist actions in service to yet another form of supremacy? We have seen the so-called neocons, who are Jewish Zionist master racers who employ nihilism for tribalism's sake. As Madeleine Albright said, it was worth it to kill 500,000 Arab children. The blood sacrifice of Arab children wasn't for imperialism and supremacism, but for democracy and the rules-based order.
I would not be surprised, God forbid, something should happen, that Ye should do something to himself, given his behavior.
Yeah, so if you object to what's going on, of course you are suicidal, or you are, a self-loathing Jew, or all these
insane.
Other. Yeah,
you're insane. Yeah,
you're crazy.
Yeah. There's also a theory that I saw years ago, many years ago now, that Hitler could have been an illegitimate Jew.
He may have had Jew in the closet, as
Jewish
it were,
blood,
in the bloodline. Yeah. 20th century historian David Irving. You ever heard of him?
By the name sounds
familiar. He was an impeccable historian. There was no question until he started investigating World War II anyway. There was no question about his historical bona fides as a historian.
Uh-huh.
And he had started investigating World War II. He wrote books such as Hitler's Wars in 2 volumes. He had access to private diaries and letters no one had before. He published a biography of Winston Churchill, Heinrich Himmler, Joseph Goebbels, and other works on World War II. Unfortunately, he painted a picture of the Germans and the British that often contradicted the line held by powerful entities, including the Jews. He was a British citizen, or is. He's still alive, I believe. Irving said things like, more people were killed in Senator Kennedy's car at Chappaquiddick than were killed by gas at Auschwitz.
Right. I've heard that one too.
He said Hitler never ordered and was even unaware of killings in the concentration camps that were mostly located outside of Germany in Poland and Ukraine.
Well, he probably had other things on his mind.
Furthermore, he said Winston Churchill was a drunkard who was inebriated most of the time, both in public and private. And Churchill came within a hair of bombing Germany with mustard gas and anthrax bombs, which would have rendered most of Europe inhabitable for decades.
Yeah. Get him out of here!
He certainly did authorize the bombing of civilian targets, war crimes, including the infamous firebombing of Dresden. Of course, for bringing all these things up, Irving was canceled.
What?
Yeah. He tried to sue a foremost Zionist attorney named Deborah Lipstadt, but he lost the suit, and he was judicially determined to be an anti-Semite. So by turning Hitler into, quote, Hitler in capital letters, a figure of absolute evil.
Hitler all caps.
Yep. Politics becomes a cartoonist binary of good and evil. Never mind that Jews are the foremost practitioners of the master race ideology.
Well, and their control of central banks.
Exactly. Yeah.
Paid for
you're
the war.
You're gay, you're Jewish, and cringe. And you're not even funny.
Yeah.
And I'm epic and based and red pill.
Just as the Palestinians, Syrians, Iranians, and other deplorables in the U.S., too many of whom are still dumb enough to bleat, but Israel, Russians who've been targeted since the end of the Cold War, and the civilians of the Donbass region who are still being shelled ceaselessly by sub-Nazi types allied with Jews. The alliance of the neocons and the Ukro-Nazis, or the neocon-Nazi phenomenon, illustrates the depths of Jewish megalomania that will even recruit neo- and sub-Nazi morons as muscle to attack Russia, because Russia is one of the few sovereign countries in the world that can say no to Jewish hegemony.
Yeah. Uncircumcised Philistine! Uncircumcised Philistine!
And that's also true.
Yep. Hitler was a sinister figure, but he was a man of history, not the Lord of Hell. He wasn't the devil at war with angels. Joseph Stalin, remember, was comparably evil, and the evil of Jewish supremacy in Russia and Germany did its share to bring about World War II. Besides, Hitler was formidable because he was the leader of an advanced industrial power. If he was the leader of Albania, he would be a joke. But since Germany lost and Jewish star has been on the rise, have we seen more equality for all groups, essentially, and peace in the world under the rule that's become more and more dominated by international Jewish interests? No, I would say we haven't. We have seen a neo-hierarchy, a new hierarchy where Jewish power is virtually above the law and served by brown-nosing Anglos and their ilk who suck up to the Jews like Johnny Ola to Hyman Roth in The Godfather Part 2.
That was filmed at Lake Tahoe.
Yeah. Hyman Roth always makes money for his friends. The Jewish project isn't about equality between Jews and Palestinians.
It isn't?
No. It always favors Zion over whomever the Jews happen to hate. Do Americans, most who have been thoroughly brainwashed by Jewish monopoly of the flow of information, ever wonder why Russia came to clash with the U.S.? Do Americans even know about what happened to Russia in the 1990s or what the neocons have done to Ukraine, especially since 2014?
Well, of course not, because the neocons obfuscated the event, the fall of the Berlin Wall, the end of the Soviet Empire in Eastern Europe. So they don't know anything. They don't know anything anyway. The American people are just brain dead, from what I can see. They just had an opportunity to throw back these scoundrels, and they threw it away. Things aren't bad enough yet, apparently.
Enough is enough.
Yeah.
White culture is the most universalist of world cultures. The Christian proselytizing impulse with a universalist sense of morality defines Western civilization. As such, white Christian and post-Christian civilization is susceptible to universalist moral arguments, especially for women, and to media-based psychological guilt-tripping. During the debate, Alex Jones talked about the civic nationalism, as the dissident right calls them, characterizing the essence of Martin Luther King with the content of character argument that you hear all the time. But that's like pretending Thomas Jefferson was a radical egalitarian on the basis of all men are created equal.
We choose truth over facts.
Jefferson opposed slavery, but was a race realist who believed in group differences and had no belief in equality of coexistence between whites and blacks. It's true. I mean, we can't wrap our mind around it, but it's hard to wrap your mind around it, but it's true.
Did you see there was a Democrat mayor that went after a dead Confederate this recently?
A.P. Hill.
Yeah.
His body was exhumed in Richmond.
What on earth?
Yeah, and his statue was taken down, and the family had very little say in
Unbelievable.
where to put the remains.
Yeah, they can't let go of the racism.
No. Well, should we get into the differences here?
Of?
Well, I think we don't have time.
Well, we probably don't have time to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I wanted to mention? I found some more, a great quote from Carrie Lake.
Yeah.
She says, "I identify as a proud, election-denying deplorable, and my pronouns are I won."
Election denying. That's a new denying.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-432-8150. 800-432-8150. 800-432-8150. That's 800-432-8150. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-432-8150. 800-432-8150. 800-432-8150. That's 800-432-8150.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and catch the bus. Text and miss your stop. Wait. Text and be late to work. Sorry, I'm late. Text and work. Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working.
Who, me?
Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey.
Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Unable to listen to the whole show? A recording of today's program will be available later today. Visit americamatters.us and click on the podcast link. Now, back to the show.
Well, welcome back. We were talking a little bit about Martin Luther King and race realities. No one could argue that Martin Luther King believed in the content of your character trope, but he also believed in affirmative action and other remedies to, right the wrongs of discrimination and slavery. But if indeed whites and blacks are equal in all respects but their skin color, several decades of remedial policies and programs should have bridged the gap. But when test scores and achievements remain flat, the answer is not to consider the reality, but to dumb down the test.
Right.
This may allow more left of the bell curve black people to advance, but the cost to the society can be a reduction in productivity and cultural cohesion. It's like Jordan Peterson says, it's all DIE, diversity, inclusion, equity.
Yeah.
We're going to have
it's a plain view.
Yep. Racial differences are real, with blacks being lower in average IQ and higher in impulsiveness, in young men especially. Lower IQ makes it more difficult to see the consequences of your action, especially in that 18 to 24 age range.
Say what?
It diminishes empathy for the other and increases esteem for only a close few. Studies show young male blacks have higher testosterone levels that may fuel violent behavior. Blacks also score the lowest of our American minorities on the R to K scale.
Nope.
Which is a scale that measures fertility and with child care. Black households frequently have children from different fathers, to the point where police in black neighborhoods often don't ask for the man of the house, but rather who is each baby's daddy.
Yeah.
The low scores of blacks on the parenting scale is usually blamed on slavery by liberals.
Well, they wouldn't be able to find their fathers because they're in jail.
Yeah.
They've filled up the prisons.
The low score of blacks on the parenting scale is usually
I
blamed.
didn't have enough money for cab fare. My tux didn't come back from the cleaners. An old friend came in from out of town. Someone stole my car.
Someone stole his car.
A terrible flood. Locust. It wasn't my fault. I swear to God.
The low score of blacks on the parenting scale is usually blamed on slavery by liberals or the welfare state by conservatives. But perhaps more likely, we should consider that a genetically selected legacy of centuries of polygamy and communal child rearing is at fault. Genetic selection for polygamous behavior is problematic in our Western culture that still at least pretends to hold the monogamous nuclear family as the ideal.
Right. As an ideal.
Yes, as an ideal. Yep. So, do you think I'm a racist?
When I was asked to join this program, I said, "Is that guy?" By the way, I'm in my 5th year here now. You know that?
Yes, I've been here even longer.
I know you have.
Yeah.
A trans girl is a girl.
Over the last 2 months, federal crime statistics show black suspects arrested for over 50 murders of white people. There is no record in the FBI files of whites arrested for killing blacks in the October-November period. White people are routinely being killed while pumping gas, going to ATMs, or in front of nightclubs. White women are murdered by black husbands or boyfriends, but it's rarely the other way around. Very little white male violence against black women.
Huh.
For the libertarian right, the problem is affirmative action that harms blacks with the tyranny of low expectations. Just give us school choice and blacks will be acing tests in no time. But in reality, already bright black students are best helped by school choice. The further to the left tail of the bell curve you are, any kind of pedagogical improvement is not going to raise your IQ very much. Unfortunately, that was the findings of people like the authors of the bell curve, Charles Murray and other DNA specialists.
It's a process.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the egalitarian left has argued that the notion of racial differences is just prejudice, a social construct. Therefore, the only reason that black underachievement occurs is racism. Test scores must be adjusted and more money must be pumped into the public schools, always.
Right.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him...
Said Randy Weingarten.
Yeah. Well, the real misinformation. What is the real misinformation? Is it what the FBI was hounding Twitter over?
Well, that would be
This is CNN.
That would be one thing.
Jewish control of the media is about nonstop communication and coordination. Remember how whenever a buzzword goes out, all the Democratic channels are repeating that buzzword all day long? As well as a sense of unanimity, a totality of mindset and methodology about prevalent Jewish tropes across academia, media, entertainment, finance, law, government, and the deep state. So the Jews are interconnected not only by ideas and professions, but by blood. A Jew in finance is related to a Jew in law, related to a Jew in the State Department, related to a Jew in Hollywood, related to a Jew in Las Vegas, and so on. As convicted spy Jonathan Pollard said the day after he landed back in Israel, you are a Jew first and American second.
Yeah.
You uncircumcised Philistine! This uncircumcised Philistine!
Alex Jones, another civic nationalist, says Jews don't constitute a monolith. But we aren't talking about all Jews, but the main thrust of Jewish power, which to any honest person is monomaniacal in tribal supremacism and paranoia. Surveys show 80% of Jews think that it's possible to have another Holocaust and kill 6 million of them in America.
Another 6 million?
Yeah.
You're gay, you're Jewish, and cringe. You're not even funny.
You're not even
And
funny.
I'm epic and based and red pill.
There are genuine dissident Jews, and we celebrate them here at Talking Truth to Power quite frequently.
Yep.
But they only exist at the margins, much like the German dissidents in the National Socialist era.
Well, they'd be ostracized if they came out too often and too prolifically because of what they represent.
So Jews who condemn prejudice against Jews are promoted, or against their allies in America, like blacks and homosexuals. But Jews who condemn all kinds of prejudice, even the Zionist prejudice against Palestinians, are ostracized and condemned. Well, I mean,
you're defining conspiracy is what you're doing in all of this.
The technical word is ethno-cohesion,
right.
Ethno-cohesion,
right.
or ethnocentrism. Yeah. That's what the studies show. You know, the studies have to be very rigorous and logical and polite. But here at Talk Radio, we can use a little. We can connect a few dots and use a few nasty words.
We sure
you
can.
You know the thing.
We do it every week here.
Yes. So
you know who Mitch McConnell has pushed for re-election? Take a wild guess. I just see it here.
McCarthy?
Right. You're getting close.
Re-election.
Yeah, he's up for re-election because the Democrats are very vulnerable in 24.
Uh-huh.
And among those that will seek re-election is none other than Mitt Romney.
Oh, so
he's lending his support for Mitt Romney. He says it's important for the Republican Party and the country that he runs again.
It's very important. I can't think of a better patriot than Mittens Romney.
He was so effective against Obama, wasn't he?
Yeah.
You couldn't tell him apart.
No. And of course, he thinks that Russia is the greatest threat to America.
Yep.
And recently he said we mustn't go soft on NATO.
Right, and they try to vindicate what he said about Russia at the time, because it's part of that narrative against, Russia is the oligarchical concern that they try to make it out to be.
We choose truth over facts.
Yeah.
Well, the Jews have a very long history within Russia. They've been in Russia longer than we have, obviously, because Russia, as we know, it started around 1000 A.D. and they've been there for the whole time, and they are again a people that refuse to assimilate completely.
Right.
And they have their own agenda. And their agenda is often anti-Russian, especially as I think Nick Fuentes is hip to this. I listened to him, and he understands that especially the immigrants at the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century, we talked, I think I got a minute here. I'm going to be really nasty now.
Uh-oh.
We talked about immigration slurs or tropes about people, and we said how WAP, the Italian slur, is without papers.
Sure.
Stands for W-O-P.
Yep.
Well, what is kike? Do you know what kike is?
No, it's probably an acronym, isn't it? Yeah. What is it?
Well, it's similar. It's when Jews were migrating to America at that time.
That's their phone going off here. Oh, of all times.
When Jews were migrating to America, they were asked to sign the papers, the documents at the immigration. But an X actually stands for Christianity.
An X?
Yeah, it's Cairo, the Eastern Roman shields. The first letter of Christ is X.
Oh, I see.
So instead they draw a circle, and the circle in Hebrew is kike.
Isn't that interesting what you learn here on Talking Truth?
So it became kike.
Isn't that something? Don't go away. Eddie Floyd follows us. Happy Christmas.
Okay, we are running a car drive right now to help veterans all across America. So if you have an old car, truck, or van, even a motorcycle or an RV sitting around, you can right now give it away and help the vets. They really need your help. And your car will help support the vets and their families. And guess what? You even get a tax donation. Plus, we'll even come and pick up your car for free. And all you've got to do is pick up your